This video 3 about extramarital sex. On the seventh commandment, thou shalt not commit adultery. The seventh commandment not only forbids adultery in the narrow sense, which is a married person engaging in sexual activities with someone other than their spouse. That is the narrow sense. Sexual, thou shalt not commit adultery. So adultery in the narrow sense is a sexual activity between a married person with someone outside, someone other than their spouse. But also this kind of extramarital sexual activity includes a premarital sex. Now this is probably far more common in our society, so we need to deal with this pastorally as well. All sexual activities should be confined in marriage. Premarital sex is not at par with adultery. Adultery is punishable by death in the Old Testament, Exodus 16:17. Okay, the price to be paid for a man who seduces a virgin who is not betrothed, the penalty for premarital sex is punishable by death in the Old Testament, you know. So, but the for adultery, I'm sorry. So premarital sex is not as severe as adultery. Nevertheless, it's also part of the thou shalt not commit adultery commandment. So scriptures takes for granted the sexual relationship should be confined to marriage. Genesis 2, Exodus 22, Deuteronomy, etc. So just give one of this. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 8, verse 9, to the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for men to remain single, as I am. This is Paul writing. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they shall marry. For it is better to marry than to burn with passion. Okay? So it is important. Now, Scripture reportedly condemns sexual immorality. Now, this is important. The word sexual immorality in the Greek word in Greek is porneia. Porneia is a general term taken to include all extramarital sexual activities. Okay, so sexual immorality is not just adultery, but every extramarital sexual activity. Okay, so now, so what counts as sexual activity? Song of Solomon's interpret sexual activity. Some of the imagery is meant to refer to sexual intimacy between a man and a woman with their organs, naturally to sexual intercourse, causing sexual arousal, physical and mental. So any sexual activities is not just the actual intercourse, but any part of the body, the organs. We must remember the biblical restrictions of sexual activity are a reflection of God's high, not low view of sexual relationships. Okay, why is it high view of the scripture? Because sex is part of the high view of the scripture, because sex is such a good gift from God. Therefore, this must be conducted in a high standard. Christians treat sex as down, you know, is something not to be talked about. It's almost dirty and all this. But sex is a beautiful gift of God. The Bible is not anti-sex. Pro-good sex, anti-bad sex, if you want to put it in a simple way. So it set forth a passive intimacy and fulfillment set forth by God. So that is the application of the extramarital sex.